Hey guys, what's going on? I guess we're gonna talk about RuneScape. That seems to be what we talk about here. Um, there's a couple other things that we see on the screen here. We have a mouse and a hand and a sleeve thing. Yeah, we'll talk about that here real quick, and then we'll get clicking the rocks and we'll do all of that. So. What we're going to do today is we're going to kind of bang out two situations at once, one being a ramble and the other being a hand cam. Going to try to run down the hand cam stuff real fast. Sorry to anybody that's just not interested in any of these details, but here they go. All right. The mouse I use is the HSK Pro 4K. It is from G-Wolves. It is a very small mouse. It is for fingertip grip. You hold your mouse with your fingertips, just like so. Okay? There is no palm touching the mouse. No, my hands are not this small that I need a tiny mouse. Yeah, so you use the mouse with your fingertips. That's what this mouse is. It's very small. It's very tiny. Um, I have a sleeve. The reason I have the sleeve is the mouse pad. Mouse pad is glass. It is the Wallhack SP004. It is a really nice glass pad. I don't know if anybody here or in the community uses glass pads, but love this pad absolutely to death. It's just wonderful. So, um, yeah, I highly recommend it if you like glass pads. If you've not tried a glass pad, don't like um, very speedy like kind of movement of your mouse, probably not the thing for you. So for an example, if I was to just, lightly kind of whip my mouse across with letting it go, this mouse goes flying, right? You don't have a lot of stopping power. It's just you move the mouse, you control it that way. For some reason, hopefully the camera will refocus in a second here, but yeah, not a whole lot to say about that. For those that are interested, the dots or the skates that are on my mouse, they are the X-ray pad obsidians. They're just the dot version. They're just the little four dots in each one of the corners. I have a whole pack of them here. They're very cheap. And if you do the dot skate scenario, they're super cheap and you get a whole bunch of them so you can replace them as you need. And when you play on a glass mouse pad, you're going to go through the skates quite frequently. I know that some people might be saying, what do you mean by skates? I've never replaced mine ever, etc., etc. I'd suggest giving them a try. Replace the skates on your mouse. You'll feel like a brand new mouse and you'll really enjoy it. Couple other quick things to get out the way from a mouse scenario. I think that's pretty much everything, but we'll talk about the screen just because some people sometimes ask this question when they see a video like this. Why is the mouse jumping between the clients? They are window captures. So in OBS, my clients are not actually this small on top of the other client that is right here. And I will preface this with saying there is a client that is on top. So to further the detail of the mouse jumping scenario, so if I click on this account right here, which is the one that has the cakes in its inventory, and I click trade, and then I move my mouse across the client, and now we can see I'm actually about to trade from my main account. So the main large screen that you're seeing right now, my mouse is on that screen right now, but because I haven't clicked or activated the client, you don't see my mouse until I click. So I'm just telling you right now that my mouse is hovering basically where you see the clock. So it says 4:39 right now, right? And if I click, that's where my mouse is going to show up. See? And that's why it looks like the mouse is jumping between the clients. So here, I'm going to trade myself like so, right? And the mouse jumps around between the clients that are active or inactive. Just putting that out there for the people that don't understand how the video recording works. Could I record this where all of the clients are set up on my screen? Sure, but it looks better this way. The other scenario to put out there is one other thing to talk about around this. There was something else I was going to say about that, but I think that pretty much runs it up. Oh, last detail. So, as we can see, right now this main client is not the one that's active, and I'm hovering over the rocks. You can't see the mouse because it's not active yet, but if I was to right click, there we go, my mouse just got there. The other detail here is you're going to see my mouse move kind of over this way, and then it'll just all of a sudden jump to the other client. It's not going to go all the way off the side like this because the client that has the cakes has the ruin light setting always on top, right? And this client is set up that it is on the left-hand side of my main client, just past this second accept window. So when I trade, right at this second accept window, just over here is my second client, so that I can lessen the jump distance between them. All right, that runs down mouse stuff and recording things for those that are always asking those questions. So it's not going to be very exciting. I don't move my mouse a whole lot. I play on 1600 DPI and I fingertip grip. So for me to get from the top of my client to the bottom of my client, it is literally this sort of movement. I just have to pull my fingers. I don't have to move my mouse across the entire mat, like back and forth. So you're not going to see a lot of movement. It's going to look boring. So to those that really wanted the hand cam scenario, it's going to be boring. Get ready for it. But anyway, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do some mining, and we'll talk about RuneScape for a bit. All right, so I'm just going to trade myself because why not? We seem to be doing that for no reason. Yeah, so we just finished 200 mil prayer just recently. That skill was absolutely a nightmare, and I guess we'll kind of get into that a little bit. There's a whole lot to talk about around prayer, and I don't really know where to start and where to end, but the kind of journey with prayer all started from myself deciding I was going to multi-skill it. So I wanted to kind of get it done with other skills. So you may have seen other videos on my channel around things like doing it with fire making. So I got somewhere around 30-ish mil or so XP just from finishing off 200 mil fire making. That was nice, a nice chunk of prayer to get done without even feeling like you're doing it at all. And then, there's the other videos out there that are, cake ash mining, cake ash fishing, cake ash wood cutting, probably just all the gatherers with cakes and ashes at this point. So all of those sorts of videos as well. That seemed to be kind of what I assumed prayer was going to be like for a majority of it. And then we started to experiment with alternatives. So things like doing it with combat. So doing things like clan wars alts and PvP alts, or having somebody else in a PvP world eat, and things of that nature. So I won't go too much into details of methods that I've done. I wasn't the one to discover the method that I primarily used for prayer, so I'm not going to talk about it too much further than the details that were just kind of stated. But from that sort of angle of things, um, yeah, there's I have videos of it that are unlisted. I'm not going to be sharing or leaking the method unless the individuals that discovered it are okay with an idea of a video going out, and all credit to them for sharing that information with me, and hopefully you don't mind me mentioning it in a very obscure way and not actually saying much about it. So, a little bit further about prayer and things. Uh, it was a whole journey. So, like after finishing fire making and doing those kind of experimental scenarios of different gatherers with it, it turned into the next sorts of scenarios of, all right, now can I try it with combat? All right, now what do I do with this and that and these sorts of things? And that then turned into realizing, I'm not sure who first realized it, but I'm going to give credit to Halcyon Seed, I would believe, who showed it to me in the first kind of situation of you could have alts at Edgeville and have the respawn point, which is basically the sort of same thing I did for a majority of my rune crafting XP, is just the accounts would die and then they would respawn in Edgeville and bring me more talismans and tiaras. So that's kind of the sort of same thing, except what you could do is you could do ashes and bones and then um, fight yourself right there in Edgeville. Um, the problem with this method is there's a lot of people in Edgeville, and I don't want to be rude, but I kind of do want to be rude. A lot of them are usually pretty uneducated on skilling in RuneScape. They're usually more just PKers or even just like very casual players that don't really play the game too much. So they're kind of in shock of what's happening. I've had all sorts of different claims to being told that I am uh, kill death boosting, like KD boosting. I don't even understand what that means. There's no high scores for kill death ratio, but I was given some more detail that apparently in the PKing community, sometimes they have a plugin on RuneLite for their kill death ratio, and that's what they assumed I was boosting in killing my own accounts or something. I don't really understand that, but that was a common thing that was said to me, as well as when you're playing that many accounts and doing something very obscure, the first default thought is this person must be botting, right? And that turns into people reporting you. And I feel, and I can't say this without any kind of real proof of the fact, but this is what I assume gave me a false ban back in June, July, whatever month it was. It was in the summer. And the only things that I was doing at that point was, using Chrome Remote Desktop for flesh crawlers. No, I don't use the tap mode. I use the mouse mode for those that ask that question as well. But like I've been using Chrome Remote pretty much always, so I don't think that would do anything at all. And then I was also just AFK fishing, and it started to get to me of thinking maybe the way that I do AFK fishing got it, because I do have camera keys as a plugin, which just does this, right? I can zoom out, zoom back in within clicks of, I have it bound to my spacebar. That's how I zoom in and zoom out for the fishing spots when I'm AFK fishing, and it's just a nice way to do that. And I thought maybe that just looked a little bot-like, and then that got me reported. But then, as you're at edge, it just takes probably within 20 minutes of you being there, the first person that walks by is more than less likely going to ask you questions about what you're doing. and then also assume that you're botting, even if you respond to them. And back at this point, when I did get reported, I was kind of trying to challenge myself into not talking in game for the entirety of the year, so that uh, the silly recap would just show that I've sent 0 messages in game. I don't know why I thought that would be a funny thing to go for, but clearly that didn't work out very well, so we don't bother with that anymore. But I'm I just don't really talk in game a lot to begin with. I'm a lot more accustomed to just talking on Discord, and even from a typing scenario, like I don't really appreciate having to type when I'm playing this game too much. So I usually would rather be in voice or, you know, anything of that nature. So I don't really talk a lot in game, and I hope that that'll eventually get a little bit better. I know a lot of people have complained about like not. I know that our clan's not the most social from a CC point of view, but I would highly suggest, just engaging with us a little bit more on Discord. Just jump in voice and ping people that have the voice role, and people show up every so often, right? So um, that's sort of my thoughts and opinions. But if you are looking for a more social scenario of a CC, like you can always talk in there. Like I know people tease and be like, "Hey, no talking in this CC," and it's mostly jokes, but sometimes people are actually like just being more so just silly about it, right? Like you're welcome to chat if that's what you desire to do. The other side of it is like you're more than less likely not going to see me in the chat too often. As we can see, like I'm going to be mining for a while, and I put myself on the trade chat window, right? Um, I can see that there's clan messages right now. I'm not going to be opening that tab and taking a look. Like I said earlier in the video, I have the always on top scenario, so I can't even actually see much more than the word "you" in the trade screen, which is at the end of the sentence. So I wouldn't really be able to read the clan chat even if I tabbed over it anyhow. I could look at it on the OBS screen, I guess, to be able to see what people are saying, but that's just not something I'm really worried and bothered with. So, to those that hope to be more CC chat oriented, feel free to talk with the people in CC and be that way, and do those sorts of chats, but I can't see myself chatting in that fashion too often. It's just not applicable to get between those very easily, and I just would rather talk in Discord. We can use GIFs and be funny. Um, yeah, but I guess to kind of roll back into more RuneScapey stuff, after getting banned, I think it was like 3, 4 weeks or something, where they denied the appeal on the weekend, which I know that there's going to be people in the comments section of this video, if they actually get to this point, just being like, people can work on the weekend. And of course I know that they can, but it's just very unlikely that Jagex employees are working on the weekend and looking into ban appeals. Um, I'd love to know more information around that if they happen to do so, but it seemed like it was more of an automated scenario. And luckily, eventually, someone ended up looking into my account, and I thank you to everybody, especially the people that know that I am thanking them specifically, for all of the help that they've done in trying to help to reach out to the Jagex team to look into my account. I really do appreciate that, as well as the JMod team, if any of them, for whatever reason, listen to this crazy ramble. I appreciate the ones that looked into my account, and I know they probably don't want to be named or anything like that, but just know that you're appreciated, and No, none of them spoke to me directly, but I have a good idea of who actioned some things, so I just appreciate them looking into the account and everything of those sorts of natures. So, so some more details around the sort of ban scenario and everything as well is like it's impossible to know like what kind of triggered them, but I assume just mass reporting of a very odd and unusual method that people just would not understand. And since then, we have been recording all of our gameplay. There may be at times, an hour or two, etc., or a day of some games that sometimes get missed that I forgot to hit record. It happens, and it's not that I'm trying to get away with something else or whatever it is. Like I'm not trying to like hide something behind not recording at that moment in time. Like you probably saw this recording and there was over an hour on the timer, and there was no additional to this scenario. I basically stood here trying to make this video a couple times. That's what happened. So, there's not usually a whole lot of details that aren't recorded, and for context, the ban happened back in June or July, like I said, and I have somewhere around 460 unlisted videos of just raw gameplay that is uploaded unlisted to my YouTube channel. These aren't to go public right now. The reason, again, prayer method that doesn't want to be leaked. So that's a major reason of why I wouldn't be releasing a lot of the prayer content until the people are okay with that being a thing. But it's also just kind of for my own peace of mind to have a documented amount of truth to the gameplay that I have done in this game. So if anything was to happen again, and thankfully nothing has happened again, right? A lot of times what happens is people get a false ban and then, a couple months later they're doing the same thing and they just get hit again. So it seems like for all the flack that we do throw Jagex's way, and I know that there's other people out there right now, and I know that I've sometimes not been the most positive towards the customer support and the false banning sort of scenarios in this game. um it does seem like at at points they do address those concerns, and I'd hope for accounts that have thousands to tens of like it doesn't have to be in my case where it's like tens of thousands of hours of gameplay, or hours played sort of thing. It like just people that have dedicated a significant amount of time to the game should should have the you know I feel like they're warranted at least some explanation, some human contact. And I understand that from Jagex's side, they kind of just stay a little bit more on the silent end of it to not leak out how they're discovering things. So they won't apply a proof to it, and I don't know if that's still a great way to be approaching this. I think having a level of transparency against it is just going to be better for everyone. So yeah, the those that hopefully wraps up the whole conversation around that point. I guess I haven't really done anything from a commentary sort of scenario since that has happened. I've just kind of been playing the game and enjoying myself. Really, I do really enjoy prayer. Prayer. Wow, I did not really enjoy prayer. Sorry, is what I meant to say. Um, I'm sure that probably anybody that's ever been in a Discord call with me can attest to that. That skill was just dreadful, and it it seems to just be the bane of my existence in general. So I don't I definitely did not have a fun time with prayer. I don't know where I was going with saying that I've been enjoying that. I definitely did not. I enjoy that I'm done it now. Don't have to ever touch it again, which is great. Um, but that's pretty much the details around that. I know a lot of people always just like immediately ask like, what are you gonna do next after you finish something? And to those people, like, thanks for being interested in what I'm gonna do in the game next. That's cool, I guess. But like, I usually just have no idea. Um, to put it simply, I have the gatherers and melees and like the combat skills and gatherers. That's what I got left. So it's gonna be those. Like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna, stick to just mining here and go right to 200 mil. I'm enjoying mining. Mining's a much better skill than prayer. And I really do like this method. Sure it's gonna be ruined after I upload this video, so thanks to the people that do that. Um, but yeah, no, it's an enjoyable it's an enjoyable skill, and there's kind of a couple pieces to talk about where, you know, the point that I'm at with my account is kind of in an odd state. So a lot of the times in the past, if I was kind of just needing to change up what I was doing, I would go do a different skill, right? So like if I was doing fire making, for example, and I needed a little break, I could go do some gather, or I could go and I could smith, right? And now that all of those ones are done, it feels weird to like think of like what should I go do as that like freshness switch up. I know that some people just stick out a skill and that's just they just focus on it. I sometimes just need the change of scenery and what the clicks are. um, and that's just kind of how I've always been in this game. So um, yeah, I feel that it's kind of at an odd point. Um, I'm sure that I'll probably just find myself AFK fishing for the times that I just need to like, oh, I'm gonna chill for a bit, but like I'm at the computer, so like shouldn't go to like crawlers or something stupid like that. So I'll probably just find something that's still relatively effective, but like it feels odd to do those sorts of skills in that sort of fashion because like I enjoy what the skills have to offer from a tick manipulation sense. Not as much so fishing, and I know a lot of people are gonna think that I was never a fan of snow, so fishing's probably at the current state that it's in is still going to be my most hated gather out of them all. But the nice thing about fishing, I would say, is it's probably not going to be too bad for um, like when you're busy and things, right? It's like, okay, you're doing fishing and then you get busy with something, you just AFK, you're right at the pond and you don't feel too bad about it. Where like if you AFK at something like mining, I mean, you're just not getting XP. And if you AFK at something like oaks, you're going to be looking at the screen in 2 seconds to drop oak logs, right? So, and if you switch that up to being at willows, again, you're dropping every 3 trees going down, so like a minute and a half most. Um, I know it's not the worst, but like to travel from a location to then AFK it to then go back to previous location seems like a lot, right? So um, I think fishing will probably be nice for the ability to just kind of peace out AFK for a moment sort of ordeal. But I guess you can sort of do the same with two tick oaks if you bring splash supplies with you. So you could just splash on the rats for a bit while you go away from the computer and then just come back, put your bow back on, and you're good to go. But you don't feel like you're really doing anything when you're splashing. You don't feel like you're making real progress. So yeah, probably a pretty long-winded video. No, it's coming to 30 minutes right now, so I apologize to the people that are still here. I don't know why you want to listen to this. To the people that watched my mouse move millimeters around my mouse mat, I hope you people enjoyed that. Um, I don't know what else to really talk about. Clearly the gameplay here hasn't been too great. Didn't maintain the best XP rate as I was talking. I kind of lost my focus quite a bit here. I'm not even really paying attention, but 75k an hour so far. All right, cool. We'll call it shithouse mining ramble. So there you go. Yeah, I guess I just want to thank the people for listening, I guess, and maybe I'll do some more rambles at times. I don't really know what to talk about when it comes down to something like the level of progress that I have now, where it's like I just finished a 200 mil and I'm going to talk. I don't think I'm just going to like wait till the next 200 mil to talk again, but I wouldn't expect them to be regular things or anything of that nature. Just if I find something interesting to talk about, we'll probably talk about it, and that'll be that. But I like to kind of save a lot of the talking points and conversational points to more of the podcast scenario. So the free to play podcast, that's usually where I like to do most of the rambly, chatty sort of shit. So if you don't see ramble type videos of mine, you can probably just go over there and watch the podcast. That's probably where more of the conversational pieces will be. I just thought that some people might be interested in hearing about the 200 mil prayer scenario, and I guess I never gave anybody any details around the ban. They didn't give me any details about it either, so we're both still in the same situation, so that's cool. Yeah, I guess join free to play and deuces.